just for a little bit. We will run into proofs later on in 3.4 and 3.5. But the first couple lessons will be no proof, so it's kind of a good like reset for some of us. Okay, here, go, Nora. All right, so for parallel lines are two coplanar lines. That's really important that they're together on the same plane. So I'm going to circle that, two coplanar lines. That never intersect. Okay? So another way we might say that is that they are going in the same direction. They're going in the same direction. So if you just draw two parallel, think about like parallel parking. If you're parallel parking and you're taking your driver's test, what happens if you hit the curb? You fail. Did you say parallel if you hit the curb? No, your goal is to be next to the curb, right? Right next to it, not touching it. So if I draw parallel lines, I have one line going this way. And a parallel line would mean I want it going in the same direction, kind of right next to it. Or they could be far apart, as long as they never touch, they never intersect, but they're on the same plane. Okay? To show in math, we have all these symbols in math to show things. We have those tick marks to show things are congruent. We have those little arcs to show angles are congruent. For parallel lines, to show that they are congruent, we use these little arrows halfway through. So sometimes they might look like little arrows like that, or sometimes they get formed into triangles. So you connect those bottom parts and they're triangles like that. Kind of both are, and that shows me that these two are running in the same direction. They're parallel to each other. So as we look around the room, where do we see parallel lines that are running next to each other but will never touch? Like the bottom and the top? Yeah, like the bottom and the top of the whiteboards. The bottom of the whiteboard and the top of the whiteboard will run next to each other the whole time. Where else do we see parallel lines? On the ceiling? Some parallel lines up there. So these lines going this way are parallel, kind of those markings in between. These ones are parallel going this way. Good. All right, parallel lines is usually something that people have worked with before. These next two are things that maybe we haven't seen before that we need to make sure that we know and understand. The next one is called skew lines. Skew lines are two non-coplanar lines. So non means what? Not. Okay, so they're not on the same plane, but they never intersect. So, but they're going different directions. Okay, different directions this time. If you walk into a crime scene and you're like, oh, something's askew, or you walk in home and you're like, oh, something's not quite right. Skew lines means they're going in different directions, and if they were on the same plane, they would intersect. But because they're on different planes, they don't intersect. This is a really important idea that's really hard to understand. So, gotta have you listening. All right, so when we talk about this, we're talking about two lines that go different directions, but would never intersect. So for example, if we take this line here, going this way, everyone see this line? Right here? And we take this little column going up and down, is that line over there ever going to touch this column?
No.
No, why not?
They're on different planes.
Yeah. Well, they're on different planes.
They're kind of stuck in that place.
Exactly, they're stuck in that place. There's space between them. We aren't moving them together. There's not that converging. So when we talk about parallel lines and skew lines, if I take these two Post-it notes These are both planes. Everyone see these planes? Lovely planes. Planes are just flat directions. Alright, even if the planes are separated, if the lines are going in the same direction like this, they'll still be parallel, right? But our thing is now skew, there we go, parallel. Okay, but skew means that now I have them in different directions. If they were on top of each other, they would touch. But because there's that space between, they'll never touch each other. Okay, kind of think of like some roads. When we look at maps, some roads are far apart, but they end and there's space between them. So they'll never actually intersect. Okay, there's space between. That's a big idea, a skew. All right, parallel planes are two planes that never intersect. Okay, two planes that never intersect. So in this classroom, what are two planes that would never intersect that are parallel? Good, the floor and the ceiling. What other planes would never intersect? Yeah, the front wall, the back wall, the ceiling and the top of your desks, right? They're running parallel to each other. Good. All right, we're going to pause there for a moment. You're going to take out a whiteboard. So whiteboard. All right, so good job on that. I'm going to use a yellow highlighter, and then if you just want to take out I just restocked your colored pencils, so it should be enough for everyone. I think we're going to use all 5 today, but we'll get through it as we go. All right, next up, now we're going to be talking about lines that are on the same plane. These ones are just kind of talking about that 3D shape. Mostly this chapter, we're going to be talking about parallel lines that are on the same plane. Every now and again, we'll talk about these skew lines and parallel lines. All right, going on to our next part here is transversal. So transversal, what is our prefix for transversal? How does that word start with? Trans. Okay, when we talk about trans, we have those words like transportation, transitive property. Okay, trans means to do what? Change. So smart. To change. Good, so a line that intersects two coplanar lines. This one, it's change, or we can think of it as like travel. So it intersects two coplanar lines at 2 different points. So I'm going to have 2 lines that are coplanar. They don't have to be parallel, but they could be. And then I'm going to be drawing a line that goes through both of them. And that line that goes through both of them is our transversal. It cuts both of them, or crosses over both. Okay, we're going to be using that word transversal a lot this chapter. We use it in 3.1, 3.2. We don't use it in 3.3 or 3.4. But we go back to using it in 3.5. There's only 5 lessons in this chapter. But we'll do 3.5 in 2 lessons. So we'll use this like 4 out of the 6 lessons. Transversal. All right, so as I take a look at my next one, this one we have the same picture for both. I'm going to highlight my transversal. I'm going to just keep that highlighter out because I'm going to keep highlighting. Transversal goes through that middle there. Touches both lines. All right, so we have interior angles. What does that word interior tell us? Inside. So I'm going to use green for that one. Interior. And I'm going to just also color in that word inside. So interior angles are the angles opening to the inside of the 2 lines. So as I look at my picture here, what's one of the interior angles that would be in between the lines? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. Cool, that's okay. We're getting there. So as I look at these two lines, I'm looking at these ones here, and it's almost like if I put walls, where would the inside be? And it'd be the stuff in between them, like kind of like a sandwich. So our inside is these inside parts here, interior. And if you want to write interior next to that, so that way you know, or color coding might be good enough for you. All right, we also have exterior angles. What does that word exterior mean? Outside. Good. So angles opening to the outside of the two lines. I'm going to keep using these colors. Anytime I see that word interior or exterior, I'm going to use these colors. So keep those colors out. All right, so our inside angles are 3, 4, 5, and 6 because we're looking between these lines as they crunch together what would be on the inside. So what would be an angle on the outside?
1, 2, 3.
Good. 1 and 2 would be ones on the top part here. These would be exterior. But we also have exterior below, 7 and 8. Okay, again, if you want to write those words there, you can. So exterior is on the top, and exterior would be on the bottom here. Kind of like a sandwich. All right, now we have 4 more words that are really important as we work through this. Okay, these are going to be words that we're going to use a lot this chapter. Again, there's kind of 2 lessons that don't, I don't know, they belong, but they don't really belong. But the other lessons, these are like what the whole chapter is about, are these 4 words that are really important. All right, so as we take a look here, we have consecutive interior angles. So again, we're looking at that word interior. I used green for interior. So I'm going to use green for that word interior again. And interior means what again? Inside. So we have inside, interior. But now we have this new word consecutive. Okay, I'm going to use the word, I'm going to use red for that word consecutive, and I'm going to circle it. Consecutive is a little bit of a new word for us. Consecutive, if you have consecutive wins as a team, what does that mean? Yeah, back-to-back wins. Consecutive means it's happening again and again, back-to-back. So consecutive in this case we're going to talk about is the same side. So inside angles that are on the same side of the transversal.
Is your 6th period class in this room?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, so as I look at my transversal, remember the transversal is the one that goes through the lines. If you want to take a highlighter, you can and highlight. All right, so I'm going to use my red here for this one. If you'd like to use red, you can, or it might just be easier to use. If your color pencil is kind of flat, maybe just use a pencil. Okay, so as we take a look at this, if I look at this inside, I'm looking in between the lines. So I'm only looking at those 4 inside angles. I'm going to pick one of the angles. Doesn't matter which one we pick to start. I'm going to pick this one here. So So it's kind of like it's on the bottom part. It's inside, so it's on the right side of that line. So as I go to my other intersection down here, what side is the inside part of this line? Left side or right side of this line? Where would the inside be? Left or right? Yeah, good. It's facing in left. And then I want to stay on the same side of the transversal. So do I want to be above or below? Below. Good, below. So this is going to be our next, this is our consecutive interior. Okay, so if I look at the other one, if I take this one over here, that's an interior angle. It's in between our two other angles. That's our first angle that I'm marking, so now we're going to match it with the other interior consecutive angle. Consecutive interior. I don't know why I said that backwards, but I did. So I'm going to my other line. So on this other line, am I going to go on the left side or the right side? Good, right side, the in-between. And do I want to go above or below to stay on the same side of that transversal? Good, above. I want it to match above, to be in that same spot. Good. All right, next up we have alternate interior angles. Sounds really similar, but it's a little bit different. Alternate interior angles. So again, we have that word interior. So these definitions and these words should indicate to us what they mean. Interior means inside. So we're still looking at inside angles. But this time, we're going to do alternates. Okay, when we think of that word alternate, what does it mean if something is alternating? It's changing, it's like taking turns. Okay, it's not happening at the same time. So alternating means like every other usually. So in this case, alternate is going to mean opposite sides. It's going to change sides of the transversal. Hey, you too. Shh. Pay attention. This is really important for this chapter. You're going to miss the most important vocabulary for the whole chapter. What? Well, you are, because you're leaving, but you're going to make sure you get it down. All right, so as we take a look at this, again, I'm going to highlight my transversals. In fact, if you just want to take time to highlight all the transversals, you can. That way we can just be done highlighting. We're going to highlight. Transversals are the ones that go through both the lines. So if you just want to highlight the rest of those transversals, you can. All right, so as we take a look at this, we have alternate interior angles. So we're doing inside again. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So as I take a look at this top line, am I going to go above or below for interior? Below. I'm going to choose this one to start with. That's just our starting angle. Now we're going to decide which one is the alternate interior to that one. So I go to the other line. For alternate interior, I'm going to decide, do I go above or below for inside? Above or below? What would be inside in between the lines? Above it. But now I need to alternate. So do I want to be on the left side of the transversal or the right side? Good, left side. I have to switch over to the other side. Alternate. All right, let's test it out, see if you got it. I'm going to shade in this one up here. So shade in that one. And then maybe just put your pencil where you think the alternate interior is going to be. If you feel super, super confident and start shading it in, go for it. But just in case, maybe just set your pencil there. All right, take a look up at the board. Is it going to be an angle 1, 2, 3, or 4? Good, 3. Inside, and instead of above the transversal, we're going to go below. Nice, good work. All right, 2 more. Now we have alternate exterior. So knowing that alternate means opposite, interior meant inside, what would alternate exterior mean? Good, outside. And what does alternate mean again? Switching, good, or opposite. So exterior is outside. And that word alternate, again, means opposite. So opposite angles on the opposite sides of the transversal. So as we take a look there, if I go to outside, I'm going past, I'm kind of following those lines on the outside of those lines. I'm going away from each other. So if I do this first one here, okay, it's kind of there. It's hard to see. I don't know. A weird angle there. Okay, so I went on the left side of that line, kind of left side, and I'm above the transversal. So as I go to the other line, do I want to go to the left side or to the right side? To the right side. And for alternate, do I want to go above the transversal or below the transversal? Below. Good. So it's going to the outsides now. They're following those arrows away from each other. And then we're switching sides. All right, this one I'm going to highlight this one down here, or shade in, not highlight, I guess. Try and find the alternate alternate exterior for that one. Alternate exterior. Awesome. Have a good day. Bye.
Do you ever get the morel hunting joke at all?
Always.
Gotcha.
And we also hunt for morels, so. All right. So we have this one down here. So up here, is it going to be in 1, 2, 3, or 4? Good. So we're going outside, and it's going to be kind of, I don't know, upside left. I don't know how to describe that. It's kind of just that top part. It's a weird angle to describe location of. All right, last one. We have corresponding. Now, you might have thought we have we have consecutive interior, alternate exterior. What's kind of our missing one? You would think maybe you would connect consecutive with exterior. Some geometry classes they do, some geometry classes they don't. We just don't worry about that one because we don't have an exact theorem that goes with it. But if you go to like college and you take another geometry class, or you're helping someone that goes to another school, you might see that they have consecutive exterior angles. If you ever saw that, what would consecutive exterior mean? You're right. They're right in a row, and exterior would be outside. So consecutive exterior would be same side outside. They went switch. All right. Corresponding, though, is different. So I'm going to do corresponding. I'm going to use yellow because that's my last color I have. If you want to use brown, you can. Okay, corresponding. This one can be a little challenging to decipher first. Okay, and corresponding means angles in the same position. They correspond to each other. They are connected. Okay, so for example, when I look at like tables, if I just told Michael to move to that table, but I want him to sit in the same seat over there, where would Michael sit if he had to move to that table and sit in the same spot? He would sit in which spot? Yeah, which one's the same spot? Naomi's spot, yeah. If I told him to move to this table and sit in the same spot, which spot would it be? Ishmael's spot, yep. Okay, if I told Harper to move to that table and sit in the same spot, where would Harper sit if she moved to this spot in the corresponding spot? Would it be in Abdirman, Ishmael, Farhia, or Ada's? It'd be like Farhia's. It's a little bit different because they're facing a little bit different sides, but if we just kind of move that table over, it matched this one. So we're looking kind of like at matching spots. If we just tell that person to just move over to the next spot, or the next table, and they sit in the same spot, where would it be? So as we take a look at this first one, if I look at this bottom angle, okay, it's on the left side, kind of left side bottom. When I move over to the other one, I want those same directions. So when I look over here on the next one, I want to go left side bottom. I want them to line up in the same spot. So as I move, it's left side, bottom. They're on the same spot of the transversal, and they're both going in the same direction. So are these interior angles or exterior angles? They're both. This first one is exterior, it's going away, but then this one is going inside. So because they're going in the same direction, they're both, one is interior and one is exterior. Good. All right, if I do this one down here, my yellow's not, shows up really well on the screen, which is weird. On my paper, it doesn't look like it's that much. So I'm going to use my pencil to just outline it. Okay, so try and find that corresponding angle to that one. Corresponding angle. Oops. All right, so as I take a look up here, is it going to be in 1, 2, 3, or 4? Which one would be that corresponding angle to this bottom one? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Yeah, 2. Good. So as I take a look, I know it's going to stay on the same side of that transversal. So I know it's going to be above. And this one, is this one interior or exterior? This one's exterior. So then that means I want an interior. I kind of want one of each. So we're looking on the same side of that transversal. One interior, one exterior. Okay, same position. All right, please make sure you get your colored pencils back in that box. That really helps keep things organized. So pass that box around and get your colored pencils back in it. We're going to do a couple more whiteboard problems. So grab out your whiteboard. Again, put your colored pencils away. Grab your whiteboard.